We all like being given gifts. Just like we want to be happy, we all enjoy receiving things. And so there's this promise in each of the Beatitudes that we also see in the fourth Beatitude. And in the fourth Beatitude, that promise is being fulfilled, being satisfied, finding satisfaction, right? And again, we want to receive satisfaction. We want to be happy. We want to be satisfied. And so that's guaranteed right off the bat. Blessed are you for hungering and thirsting for righteousness. You will be satisfied. It's guaranteed. It's given to you, right? Well, the other thing you receive is by seeking virtue, well, you also fulfill that beatitude, which means you enter into and are given more of blessing, right? The supreme blessing that beatitude means. Again, this is the fourth beatitude. This is the fourth rule, so to speak, of achieving supreme blessing. So if you follow that rule, you are blessed. You are given blessing. You become abundant with blessing. And so you're given two things right off the bat, which is awesome. It's like killing two birds with one stone, right? Why not be as efficient as possible? If you can get one thing for another, awesome. But if you can get two things for one thing, why not, right? That's even better. So you're guaranteed satisfaction, and you're guaranteed not just blessing, but supreme blessing. Pretty awesome. What a bargain, right? Let's keep breaking that down. Blessed are you for hungering and thirsting for righteousness. So again, I replace the word righteousness with the word virtue, because we're on the subject of virtue, and they're basically the same. They're along the same lines. To be righteous, righteousness has to do with being just. And justice is a virtue. To be able to be just in our everyday life is a demonstration of a virtue. So when we practice righteousness in our everyday life, we're also practicing virtuousness, which is what we've been talking about. So when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, again, you reap the benefits of that, which we already talked about. What does it mean to hunger and thirst for that, though? The interesting thing about hungering and thirsting is you don't actually have to be satisfied. If you're hungry for lunch, you can be hungry for lunch without receiving the food. I mean, it's basically the prerequisite. You have to be hungry to want to eat in most cases. You may be given food, you may eat food, you may not have been hungry though. But if you're hungry, it's the best step towards food. It's the best step towards taking your fill of the food, right? Why eat if you're not hungry? You shouldn't do that. That's unnecessary. Your body doesn't need it. Why would you eat if you're not hungry? Other than maybe to be polite. There's some good reasons, but that's not the point. So this the step before hunger is being hungry. So if you hunger and thirst for something, what does that mean? Well, that means desiring, right? You desire something you don't have. You aim towards something you don't have. So when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you are aligning your thoughts, you are aligning your will, better put, and desiring to enter a state of righteousness, which is virtuousness. So when you desire to be virtuous, simply desire, mind you, again, it doesn't say when you are virtuous, you will find satisfaction. It says when you simply desire to be virtuous, when you simply have the will to be virtuous, you find satisfaction. You don't even have to accomplish the goal to be given the reward. Simply striving towards the goal gives you the reward. Now, there's a couple important things to note there too. In the striving towards, right? One of the big things about humans is we find purpose in aiming, right? Some of the greatest feelings we've experienced were in the fight, were in the pursuit of. You can think of, maybe you could think of the basketball game. You mentioned that you like basketball. The basketball game is probably better than winning, would you agree? You want to win, But you'd rather play the game than win. You don't really care if you win or not. No? It depends. But a lot of times what happens is once we accomplish our goal, we're happy, but it doesn't have nearly as much of a satisfaction as we were hoping for. The real satisfaction came in striving for that goal, right? And so that's just important to note, because in general, as a human being, one of the psychological studies that revealed some information was that as humans, we would rather be in the process of achieving something than actually achieving it. Once we achieve it, it's never quite what we realize. There's always more. There's always something greater that we end up wanting to pursue. And so that's important, because this beatitude actually exemplifies that, right? You have this beatitude that says, simply in striving for it, you'll be given it. And in striving for it's the place we actually want to be if we really search our hearts. We'd rather be striving continuously than always achieving the goal. We want to achieve the goal, don't get me wrong, but it's more fulfilling to simply be in that pursuit, to honestly be in a place of pursuit where you're putting your best effort forward. That's the most satisfying place. So this beatitude calls us to step into that place of simply pursuit, giving us the rewards, the supreme blessing, and the satisfaction, even without having accomplished it. All you have to do is desire it and will it, which is amazing. What a win, like I said. So the other important thing to note is what you think becomes physical reality. We kind of talked about this earlier. I think Vu mentioned something that was very similar about how your thoughts align and become, reality. And you can think about that. If you're anxious, what typically happens to your body? You're shaking, you're sweating, right? Your anxiety in your mind becomes physical reality. Sometimes it's through your body, sometimes it's exterior. Usually it starts with your body, right? But you'll see that those thoughts, that state of anxiety that's in your mind, will transform into physical reality. So it's important to make that distinction, because again, when we look at blessed are those who hunger and thirst for, right? Striving for it, thinking about it, aiming towards it, allows it to turn into and transform into physical reality. You go beyond simply thinking without even realizing. In many cases, we start by simply thinking and aiming towards and desiring and willing this thing. But usually, without even noticing it, it transforms into physical reality and we become virtuous. Someone might come up to you and say, wow, thank you, you were so helpful. Or what you did was such an act of charity. I'm so grateful. And you'll be like, geez, I didn't do that on purpose. But it was simply in striving for it, in desiring it, in thinking about becoming that, it just happened. It manifested in reality. And a lot of times other people will see it before we do. We have an easier time noticing each other's faults than our own. It's the same thing. Other people tend to see the good we bring even before we do sometimes. We don't even know the influence we're having. So I encourage you to think about that while we talk about becoming more virtuous as a man. Again, I'll just say that so that you have possibly a more open-minded and greater understanding of what is being said when you hear the fourth beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall have their fill. Blessed are you when you desire to be virtuous. You'll find satisfaction, you'll be blessed.